yesterday. So until yesterday afternoon, I thought we were just going to discuss the trees, but then in the back of the letter, a little paragraph.
Oh, the
dogs and the thing. I'm an Indian carpenter by trade. You look to me like I've got a few years on you.
I'm 58.
60. Right. 62, huh? Where were you born at?
64.
See? Where'd you go to school?
Greenway.
For my wife, that's where the wife, the guy who's married. This whole neighborhood is Greenway alumni. I mean, you guys are over here like ticks, man. I'm telling you. Well,
I remember riding my bicycle through this
you come from a pretty rough neighborhood. Well, where'd you grow up? Where'd you live at?
I lived in Summer Farm.
You know Mark Myers?
The name sounds
Dennis Lee? Who's the guy that owned ATC Racer, the motocross racer? He was our age, grew up in there.
Lucas?
No, he owned the ATV shop right on Cave Creek Road for many years. I watched him one day go down in the first turn, and his mom, one of your neighbors, runs through the whole fucking pack, stopping motorcycles, covers her son. She's she's screaming and crying. She sounded like a moose coming through. Saved her son's life.
Yeah, right.
Well, where I was going with this, guys, I'm a little rough. So, what's your pitch about my tree? I've got your guys' schedule. I didn't have one until someone dropped some flyers off the other day. So,
Did you get the first notice?
Yeah.
That was with the newsletter?
I've got it right here.
Okay. All right. So the only thing that we're always after is it really wasn't to do with the painting because this.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
There's your normal trimming criteria for the CCNR, and then the painter guys need enough room to get their spray guns.
Yeah. So our goal is just to keep crap off the roof. So it doesn't plug the scuppers and stuff.
Real quick, I'm a union carpenter. He's a general contractor. We've worked together on projects. I-10, you going to the bridge there? Oh yeah, I built it. Okay. That police station up here, go over that bridge? Built that. This fence, when you and I were 32 years, when you were 30, I built that and every fence in here, including the old folks home from start to finish. I mean, I done every major contract. So, like this is good. Well, you and I born in the valley. You give it back. You give it back, Jason. Hi, thank you very much for showing up. I will also pay you $50 for a video presentation of today. Well, in the valley, to stick with what you're saying, a good rule of thumb is never buy a flat roof. A pitched roof gives you all the advantage in the world. Shit falls up.
And you own two.
As a union carpenter on blueprints, scuppers and crickets aren't on prints. It's what the carpenter builds when you're on there. You look at the roof, you build it. So believe me, I'm an expert on every building in this valley, every major contractor, I've done the roof. So of course, I mean, you get shit on a roof, it wears and tears, it rots through the thing.
These things are kind of a bad idea.
They clog up.
Yeah. So this is good. You're good.
Along with the Civil War and a few other things that's gone on in this world. So that was that. And so your normal criteria is A, they're not supposed to touch the house.
Yeah.
B, they're not supposed to hang over the roof.
I mean, yeah. If there is something like this should be taken care of. If there is something that's like one little twig hanging over. It's just like when it's really aggressive.
Well, it's now just like people's intent. There's some people who don't intend to take care of it, and I might have a few branches go over and I'll get them shot.
Probably a year or even longer when that tree had June's in your places, that thing was super thick. That thing, and you guys took care of it.
Well, we were in the middle of a divorce, and I know. So I mean, we agree with this. That's not criminal intent. That just needs to be trimmed.
Yeah.
I mean, if the whole tree was hanging over the house, we'd look at the owner and say, dude, you never intended on trimming. But I just think the landscaper's going to whack one branch off. Yeah. So I have a fine on this. I have ladders set up. I have kept that tree and this tree trimmed where they do not over the roof. They do not touch the house.
I noticed that back when we sent you the first letter, this courtesy letter, say, hey, do something with your tree, and you did. You cut it back. So I'm not quite sure why you got the fine.
Well, and another strange thing, you and I, these guys are a little younger than us. And
there's a lot of people younger.
27-year-old general contractor.
29 now.
In today's world, when you do work through apps, I'm a little old fashioned, but anything I do for major corporations is done through service check. You phone in, your GPS knows you're on property. They won't accept your phone in until you're within so many feet of the building. You can't sneak off, you can't cheat. Before, during, after photos. So I've done all of that to document this. So I had a little list here. It's hot, so I don't want to get done here in like 15
Well, so
minutes.
far we're good, right?
Okay, well,
Temperature-wise.
I'm okay.
In the shade, huh?
Yeah.
And I want to kill like 2 or 3 birds at one stone. Just a real quick walkthrough and then let you guys
It
go.
better be a big stone then.
Yeah, well, I got you. Well, so I didn't get the letter to yesterday. It has the other 2 issues about the dog and the stuff in front of my patio. Well, see, this is a major gripe among me, and I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm born and raised here. I built that complex. In 1984, I was standing on the roof looking at this complex. I was 24, you were 22, and I thought to myself, this is the most beautiful fucking place I've ever seen in my life. I was looking at Frank's unit. It had this right here. When you build a project, there's a blueprint. The front page of every blueprint is called an elevation. It's what you sell to the banker. It's got right down to the plant. So believe it or not, each one of these plants are on a plant schedule that matches the original blueprint, because there's going to be a bubbler head that matches the original. And it's just how you do when you build things. So, you know, some of the 40 years. All of the board members have absolutely beautiful, lush, retained landscaping from the original thing, all maintained and beautiful. There's 4 classifications here. There's board members and ex-board members. There's normal homeowners. There's drug dealers, and then there's the people who are on the board member ship list. So we're just going to step around the corner. 15 minutes, we'll be done, guys. These are my questions. I've been in litigation with these guys for 25 years. They've lost every time. They've actually paid me 3 times what I paid for my unit on the last $98,000 check. They were so upset at giving me the $98,000 check that the man who took it sold another 170 grand, came in here, stripped out the landscaping in 2010, and then left it. Right. So finally, about a month or 2 ago, you guys, after 10 years of nothing, fully beautifully landscaped, this young lady, this gentleman, and me, nothing. 0. Yeah, I know. 10 years. All because Ed was mad because he got caught embezzling $175,000 the second time. Well, let's get on. So this is what I want to do. Let's walk over to my other unit. So the 3 birds I want to kill with 1 stone is 3 issues of life. You know, there's stuff in front of my house, there's a tree, and the dog. I'm not sure what the things in front of my house, but besides my outlaw dog, I'm thinking it's my outlaw geranium. Or no, excuse me, I have outlaw chrysanthemum. Is there any more right here? No, I got your letter, but let's just do this real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Cheers, dude.
So nothing needs to be turned
Save
in.
myself $50, huh? And a bunch of attorney fees.
You're the only police that we have, Dave.
You know, somehow I just got a copy of the new trimming schedule. It says no plants are allowed more than 2 feet from the building. Is it your guys' intention to cut down the entire landscape in the entire complex?
Does it say that?
Yeah, it does.
Two
See this tree right here? In my opinion, this tree is in direct violation. Oh, God bless you. Let's go.
I get the tape measure out.
Even being a man, thank you, Jason. And even being a, but do you know you've been finding her for this?
Oh yeah?
And it was the 2 trees there that Maverick mined and Maverick hurt.
This is a common area. Why would we find this?
You even charged her $7 for taking a photograph of it.
Oh, this got to be before our time because we didn't find it.
Yeah, once again, this falls under 3 categories. I can assure you that this family here, that family there, this family here, this family here, this family here have 1 of 4 things in common. Either A, they're a minority,
Okay.
usually black. B, they're never have been or are not a present board member. C, it's not one of the board investment properties. Or D, a drug dealer. But between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, they share 3 plants. This lady enjoys her entire landscaping. It's been there for 35 years. And the board, as a bonus, planted her Christmas tree. We paid for the installation and care and maintenance for 30 years. And all of the board members have their Christmas trees planted in front of their property. As the rest of us get nothing and get fined for everything. next thing I want to know is, the things in front of my house. I gotta get a water. Hang on.
So nothing needs to be trimmed over here.
You know, looks like it was freshened up a little bit this morning, but it's good. You want to discuss something here? Excuse me? Did you say something here?
No.
Okay. Or are you talking the other house?
Yeah, well, originally I thought we were just gonna deal with the trees, but the lawyer's letter mentioned for me and you to address two other issues, the dogs and the outlaw stuff in front of my house. Well, I'm not sure, what's illegal in front of my house that you wanna discuss?
Right now, me personally, like our management company, we're not like a lot of other management companies. We're not into fines. And we're not into nasty grams. We're into harmony and peace. So
17-year neighbor, we feel the same way.
if this is out and you're doing something, I don't give a crap. But if this is out sitting like that for 3 days, right? I might think it should be taken in every night. You know what I mean?
And I have to tell you, I don't intend to win everything here. You're a heck of a gentleman, I want to say that. I'm a chess player, so I gotta tell you, you're a heck of an opponent. So most of the work, a lot of the work that we do, are you a Chick-fil-A fan?
Oh yeah.
We've done everyone in the valley. If you've been under a canopy, I built it with his help. We work 24 hours a day. Most of these corporations, you work at night.
Oh yeah.
So you see my other house, I have blackout in my window. I gotta sleep in the daytime so I can work safely at night. So you're upset about my stuff sitting out for 3 or 4 days at a time, and I understand it.
And even then, I might not push the issue because,
Well, here's my issue.
I'd rather talk to you
There are two.
than send a letter.
There are two people in here that have. What I'd like to do is I want a patio at both of my units. I want to hire Jason and this Jason.
like that?
I want to tear out all the landscaping.
Yeah.
I want to put in concrete and get some patio chairs or bistro so we can sit out and have a beer, talk.
There's one over there like that the board has talked about allowing throughout.
Anita does have a board of.
Cindy.
We'll get to. I believe it's.
Oh no, Cindy wanted to do what Anita did.
Anita did it. Does she have board approval for that?
I don't think so.
Do you know if there's board approval for this?
Oh, probably not.
Has anyone sent them a letter regarding stuff in front of their houses?
Stuff like the chair. You know.
Well, because what I'm saying is, this gentleman has 2 units here. I've known him for almost 20 years. He's abided by every damn. This is one of his former units. I built his fence when he was not even driving a car. He's abided by every damn rule possible here, and some people just get away with absolutely murder. And then we're going to get on to a few other things. Get a little scene.
And on our side, management, we don't give a rat's ass if you're a board member or you're this or you're that. Everybody's equal.
And we'll all agree, in our generation, the world wasn't level, but we're trying to level it for these guys up.
Even renters, and our point,
They're actually they're second member, they're number 2. They have full voting rights.
Are equal.
Let's travel on, guys. You'll notice all those plants up there are left in full. When you trim plants, there's what's called a caliber. You trim to a caliber. When you do drywall work, it's done to a finish, like a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flat wall. You have skip trowel. You can go to the Home Depot today and buy 5-gallon buckets that are taller than that plant. That plant is 40 years old. That is what's called a mouse ear myrtle. I also speak Latin because I can usually give you the genus and species names. I don't have it. This is a heavenly bamboo, a Nandina domestica. That's also a heavenly bamboo, Nandina domestica. Through lawsuits and lifetime of hard work, I've learned Latin, not through my Catholic years. This is what Both of these should be in full bloom. That's one of the most beautiful plants
They
you've ever.
cut it, when they trim, they cut way down.
Well,
They never let anything.
The landscaping company got sold last June. And I had the previous owner, he was letting stuff go with its natural, sustainable
Not these,
landscape.
they didn't. They butchered these all.
Well, Myrtle, we've been getting direction to keep it shade. But
Yeah.
I just talked to the owner yesterday because I've had
How do you
problems
do
this year with them. Just, you know, we want the oleanders, we want the privets, the nandina. You don't need it hardly grows.
But I can tell you in today's world, if you go to, we'll agree that there are professionals in landscaping world that hold master's degrees. In Arizona, you go to Arizona State University, one of the finest. They have what's called the Arizona Agricultural Extension Program. Hence is where we get what's called certified Arizona nursery. You can go to the finer nurseries in Scottsdale, not Home Depot, and you'll ask for a nurseryman, and you'll end up with a gentleman who holds a master's or some sort of degree as a certified Arizona nurseryman. And the Bible of Arizona State University and the Arizona Nurserymen's Association is Western Home Landscaping Sunset Garden. And, you know, in today's, when I opened my business in 1981, D&J's Landscape Maintenance. We landscape differently in 2022 than we do in 81. We don't really sell oleanders and mulberries and olive trees. But I got to tell you, the Nandina domestica is probably the most sold plant in the state of Arizona today because it qualifies under three things under the zero state. It's disease, drought tolerant, disease hardy, and low maintenance.
Yeah.
Because A, it doesn't grow. There's not a damn bug in the world that eats it. It is absolutely one of the most beautiful plants in the world when it blooms. And if it were in front of a board member's house right now, Shirley, this plant would be in full bloom. And so would yours. If you'll notice, I don't want to show you real quick the backtrack, but over here I have a lantana. That's the first lawsuit I ever got into, was on the richest man in the state. He was quite a trickster he was, but his favorite was lantana. Thank you, Shirley. We're gonna. I want to keep this.
Okay.
No, you're.
Because what's your name, Leslie?
Steve.
You're not your Leslie. She helped me one day because Nicole wasn't available, and she was going to have you come over because my water faucet
The spigot and the roof.
and the roof. But
That's
that
on
was
my
like
list.
I know, but it was like 2 weeks ago, and I'm leaving in another week, and I usually have this gate locked. So do you
Right.
have any idea when you're going to come by?
The spigot is leaking?
Well, I'll show you what happened.
Give me a minute, guys. Vamos a $50. Look at what the board. We're going to walk through. I have all the board members' houses clicked off right here. A, B, C, D. They're all fully landscaped with the original. What's on shows on the blueprint. Because in a lawsuit, that's and this someone could say, well, it was never maintained. There's no borders. This nice lady walks every day. Believe it or not, she walked up these 2,000 pounds of rocks and carried them in one at a time to do her landscaping. Because you wouldn't believe there was nothing here but dirt and mud before. That's where we're going to need to walk you to the bathroom. That's 130. And that's the walk you to the tent.
This one? For wood?
Yeah. We got to haul that away and take it to your property.
Hell
If
no.
that's 2 years old,
Throwing it in the trash can.
I'd put it up.
Oh, that is. I'm going to Kansas.
I'd like to go do
There ain't no wood fences in Kansas there.
How about
setbacks in this, okay?
Yeah.
But
Dave,
we'll get all
coming
that.
back with the other
Yeah, well, Jason, this is Jason.
Hello.
Jason, this is Shirley.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
He's the general contractor. We'll be right back.
Okay, just because I had company, so I wanted to know.
If for some reason you have to leave, I can show him my unit to do the exact same.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
Sounds good.
I'm sticking with my position that there's one of four types of residents. There's minority, board members, ex-board members, drug dealers, and this is all going to figure in, I promise you. 25 years of litigation. As we're walking through here, does anybody see a disparity in the landscaping quality? This is my friend Miriam's house, if you'll notice. She has full original landscaping from the original blueprints. They're on the prints. That's the original nothing's been added or deleted in 40 years. The year June and I divorced in 2014, they had a program where they went and cut down everybody's plant below the window. But they did not touch this house. Because she is the one who is doing the paperwork for the 175. After I caught them embezzling 175,000, Ed stole that 175,000 back with all those little things he was paying himself to watch everybody. So the board went after him. He said the board stole the 175,000 and hired an attorney, and she's the secretary for Ed's lawsuit. That's why her house looks so nice, and once again, this is a black or Hispanic family. All the time. Yeah. This is an issue, Steve, that Jason had brought up a few years ago. All the animals are sick here. You're familiar with the name of this plant? This is called a golden dwarf arborvitae. It's often confused with other plants that look very similar, but it's an arborvitae. In the Western home landscaping, the way you determine, it's my opinion after 40 years of experience, it's probably wrong there is what's called red spider mite. And the real quick thing to do is you grab a little thing and go, and you just look real quick and you see the little mites running around. Every one of these are infected. I can tell you this, Steve, there's no homeless people here. There's no stray animals. There's no ladies laying on the ground in distress, because I have taken every homeless person and befriended them and given them money or assistance. I am the weird cat lady. Right now I presently own 8 cats. The day June and I divorced, it was 12. All of my cats have tweaked out, twisted, ruined ears. You know why? Because these red spider mites, I was informed about 14 years ago, this place has a terrible mite infestation. She has more infestations of bed bugs, and she's lived in hell. The cleanest, nicest lady with the nicest landscape lives in literally the most grievous hell anybody could get. Well, I had a beautiful golden dwarf arborvitae behind my house till the day June and I divorced. Now, once again, as we walk through the disparities, this is Hispanic. Between this unit, this unit, this unit, and this unit, they all share 4 bushes. 1, 2, 3, 4. But now we hit Jason Heinen. He was very instrumental in the lawsuit where they paid me 3 times the price of mine. Can you believe that? I bought that house for $29,000. They wrote me a check for $98,000. 3 times. Did you imagine going home to your house and your wife's going to say, honey, Jason, walk home today with a check to your wife for $900,000 and say, one of our customers ripped us off. I sued them and they gave us a check for $900,000. What would Katie say? Ching, ching. Okay, so there's Jason's house. Again, the infected arborvitae. But full height. Hers go up almost to the top of the 2nd story. His is above the 1st story. But mine was completely killed and removed. Board member's house. This is Jason Heinen's other investment home. Member of the board, full landscaping from the original blueprint. Showing elevations. This is George Grimes. He was the president of the board that told us that we're no longer citizens. This is a mini government, and they will do whatever they want. We've lost all of our rights. I have it on recording at the full meeting. If you'll notice, his tree is over his roof. Once you guys sent me the first line, when we signed the settlement agreement in November, I started making big posters. I don't know if you've got to see them, but I have full-time line posters of Anita's, Charlie Ford's daughter's house, George Grimes' house, of Jason Heinen's 2 houses, Ed Kramer's house, Jim Lee's house. We'll just go on because this gets really feeding in a minute. We're going to switch these other people. But as we walk by their house, I just want to point out that all of the board members' houses have full original landscaping, and everybody else's has been stripped out. Every unit. 25 years of litigation, Steve. I have thousands and thousands of photographs. I have hundreds. I have litigation from. You know, I actually hold a judgment against Rothmar. The manager, the guy that was in your position when I built that shit, assumed my identity, stole $75,000 across the valley, embezzled $135,000 out of here, and then didn't pay me for putting tile in the pool, so I
They go
sued
by
him.
first residency, or first, they change their name, restaurant.
Well, I'm the one who put Ross Bar Management Company out of business because of that. I'm also the one who closed the famous X-Mark and X-Mark because he was slamming his fist on the counter. He's telling Your Honor, Mr. Simmons owes me $275,000 attorney fees, and the judge says zip. So then it went to $450,000 and he lost. But what you guys during the first lawsuit, Ed Kramer went around and told everybody the reason this place is so unmaintained is because Mr. Simmons is suing us. It was a lie. When you guys get sued, I don't know if you know this, when you buy a car and move in here, you've signed away your constitutional rights. You can't sue anybody. You have to do what's called arbitration. So if this goes any further, it'll cost me 3 days, $12,000 a day. It'll cost him 3 days, $12,000 a day. He doesn't have the money, so he will be underwritten by Travelers in Zurich. They will send a letter to him or his representative stating that they will choose the lawyer, which is what they did with Mr. Eckmark. But guess what? The two largest companies in the world lost. It ate that $500,000 hard, and that's why Eckmark and Eckmark is now a close partner. Well, on the day that Mr. Eckmark, or that Mr. Kramer stripped out all of his landscaping and mine, he came in here and stripped out this entire thing. He killed everything there, stripped out all the borders, stripped out all the landscaping here, everything there. I was here fighting with him, and we were in litigation, so I stayed in my complaint. But prior to the divorce of 2014, he applied for full 5, just like everybody else. But now just to get back and stay on track here, because I wanted to kill a few hospitals. You okayed the tree at 27. This is lot 166. There's 3 bitches here. A, my dog, and there's a dog in your house.
Right.
B, my outlaw pot, and C,
The pot?
I don't know what's outlaw. Something's in front of my house.
Okay.
I'm
overeating.
Here's the, okay, here, Jason, we're done. Here's the outlaw tree. This tree is 18 inches from that house. It's been trimmed in this schedule since this tree has been installed for 30 years. June and I got a divorce. I'll show you the receipt. She hired a company who claimed, and you've got to experience this. You know what most contractors claim in the valley? We know how to work with HOAs. Well, that's right what it said on her estimate and on her receipt, and they trimmed it to the amounts you're talking about. But this tree is, you're familiar with that, right? Who are you, dude? Ficus what? Oh, God, no, you got it. See, there's two ficuses. There's a ficus benjamin, which you see in the houses. They're called a weeping fig, and this is called the ficus nitida, which is an exterior. It comes with a little different tropical taste, better in the front.
You're pulling the Latin tongue in there.
Now, yesterday there was a meeting here. I gotta tell you, I damn near went to the hospital. I called my attorney.
I heard.
Your guys came in there with their hedge trimmers.
Well, actually,
We're talking about flowers. He came in here yesterday. I watched him. He walked past Nancy's. He walked past. She was a board member. He walked past every house. Walked right up to mine. This wasn't anything. There were only 3 sprigs because I photographed it. And he cut every single flower off, just like he had done 4 weeks earlier. Never touched her. He didn't do it this time because this turned into a fight. But 4 weeks ago, he took his trimmers and walked right along my. This was the most beautiful bougainvillea you'd ever seen. And you can see him. He whacked that sucker off. So, well, I photographed before, during, and after. But yesterday I was here and I talked to him. I asked him his name and his partner's name. Neither one of them knew. I found their supervisor. Didn't know. Asked another guy. He told me the guy's name. When I asked him, it was a different name. He lied to me. Born and raised in the valley, dude. 1981, you and I were digging ditches right now. You know what I'd say to you, Steve? Okay, a couple Mahalos, a couple wetbacks dig this shit, fucking Mexican. But we don't, now they're undocumented illegal immigrants, and we no longer call them wetbacks, and we don't work them as slaves for $20 a day. But I hope these gentlemen I talked to yesterday, I don't care if they're undocumented. I don't even care anything about them. I hope somehow they're vetted. I hope they have a name. They're running around with masks. They lie when you ask their name. They don't know each other's name. They had no card for their supervisor. They couldn't call anybody. So I brought the gentleman over here and I showed him. I said, you know, you come here every time since January. You cut my bougainvillea again. I don't know if you guys know this now, but since global warming, Yellowstone's closed. Houses are going into rivers everywhere. Bougainvilleas weren't supposed to grow in the wintertime when I opened my business in '81. They used to die completely back. Look at that beautiful bougainvillea. Torch. Never touched that thing. So I sat here yesterday with the landscaper guy, and I'm demanding that he cuts it, right? So he cuts mine, and I demand that he cuts that, and he looks at me. I go, dude, is there something criminal going on here? And I speak Spanish too. I'm like, no, and it offended him. I go, well, I gotta tell you, I go, for some reason you fully cut mine, but when I demand you to cut that one equally, he was scared, like they got juice. You know what I mean? So I asked him, I said, who told you to cut mine? Because in the landscaping world, if you sent me to your house, I would follow, not you, buddy. I've been in business 40 years. I'd look right at you and go, I'm gonna talk to the boss. Yes, ma'am? Man always answers the door. Every house, you know who the boss is? A woman. He wouldn't cut that, man. Somebody has told them to schedule my house to where all of my plants are cut off dead with the fence line. Well, 6 months. I have to tell you,
from me.
just back and forth with these trees, I have thousands of dollars. My attorney yesterday was $400 an hour. I was on the phone for an hour yesterday. Because when I first started, I met him, I worked with P.F. Chang up here. I didn't know him. And my hands were dirty, so I went to a sink and washed my fucking hands. I just got a divorce in June, broke off my ass, divorced, guys. The head guy, Randy, walks up to the other group and goes, did someone use the sink back there? I'm like, no. He goes, goddamn, believe it or not, someone fucking got that sink dirty. It went from this store to the top of P.F. Chang Corporation at 2:30 in the morning, jumped over the wires, hit our corporation through service channel, came all the way down to me. Well, I lied, Jason. I needed that fucking job, and there was no goddamn way I was going to tell somebody I washed my hands in a little sink. But we follow directions in this world, and somebody told them to do this, and I'm not just quite sure here. So Anita has taken it upon herself to remove all of her landscaping, and so has her friend. They've installed all sorts of pots. You're upset because I'm going to explain what's in front of my house in a legal letter to your attorney, because I told you I've been in 25 years of litigation. What you see over there today, they lost in court that day, $98,000, and they were supposed to come in and repair my house, repair these doors, and instead they stiffed it. And I have to tell you, when Judy and I divorced, she started dating Ed Kramer's business partner, and had sex with him the night we split up. Now, June died. I feel she was murdered. I have ample evidence. I've offered various people in here $5,000 to come forward, but I've encountered a police narcotics detective who worked in here. He has first-hand knowledge of the meth lab in here. He's one of the only men who's ever busted the meth. And I've offered $250,000, which is the sale. I don't think it's free. I'm willing to give that to the police officer. You'll really when I'm talking about it. So I gotta tell you, I'm at my attorney search for letters. She's gotten away with this, and no one's ever written her letter. But I got a letter yesterday from my attorney. He had to read whatever your attorney wrote. Pots in front of Dave's house, because I'm the bad guy here.
Is this after when we signed on April 2019?
I'm not. Well, the timelines. Let's get hot.
Okay.
And the timelines will straighten out. Thank you for everything today. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being so agreeable. Thank you for being you. These guys, they put anybody else out. So once again, Anita's been a board member more than any other person ever. Right around the corner here is another board member. She's been a board member more than after. Her full house. Well, real quick. Yeah, we got one more walk and we'll head down. As you cut both hers and mine, every single. This is spring, Steve. I have a landscaping business. I sell flowers. People don't hire me for dead flowers. This is the most beautiful landscape you've ever seen. No, I lied. That's not the most beautiful landscape. But she was a board member more than anybody else. And we didn't cut it once. Now, this is the house of Jason. Right now, he's the president of Glendale Police Department Unit. He's involved in the $175,000 investment. And what we're going to get to in a second after these 2 weeks is narcotics trafficking out of her house, and his house, which we're all board members. The lady that came by yesterday, all those homes are dead. Never touched these. You guys have trimmed out, and the bottle brush trimmed down to 0. 90 days ago, it was fully bloomed. I believe he planted it. But I'm not sure on that. But they came and cut that down to 0. Now there's her master myrtle. Full height the day June and I divorced. Because you guys scheduled it, everything had to be cut down to knee height. But it was never done to the board member's house. Everybody was discriminated against. Every board member was treated specially. Every board member was allowed to. If you cut this tree down today, do you have any idea what it would do to that house? Now in front of my house, the first time June and I divorced were 2 beautiful palm trees. On the back side of the house, the second time we divorced was a beautiful mobile. The second time we divorced also, where my truck is parked over there, was a beautiful pine tree. The day and I divorced in 2014, you guys have denuded every single tree. The day we divorced, I photographed, there was 2 palm trees, 2 olive trees, 2 pine trees, and a mulberry tree. And you came in, and I gotta tell you, that's what led to her drinking and her death. And not to mention, it was a board member's agent who started supplying June with drugs and alcohol. I took June to the emergency room on Sunday. She checked herself out. On Tuesday morning, I called the Glendale police to do a welfare check. On Wednesday morning, I couldn't get a hold of her, so I came over and found her in her death throes. I provided CPR. I know that the police have body cam of talking to her on that Monday, and she should have been wearing a gold chain with my sister's diamond J on it. The gentleman who killed her was in the house that day. All the electronics were robbed while she was lying on the couch dying. All of her jewelry was stripped off of her couch, and it was an agent of the board of directors of Phyllis Glendale. And I'll prove that in court. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and inform you of this. I don't know if we're going to work through these 3 problems. If not, I'm willing to move, but I want $6 million paid out cash. If they don't want to do it, let's take this to court. These gentlemen and 198 people here will testify that this house for 17 years sold crystal meth out of it. He also took photographs of my daughter and the other little girls, and now they're on the internet. He has systematically raped and sold meth. He runs what's called the rape trade. He also ran it out of, this was Jackie Bottomley's house, board members, the whole time the narcotics trafficking, he was Jackie. Frank's house, the full entire time. The lady behind him, all board members. All the heroin, all the crystal meth, all the rapes, all the children molestation, straight out of these board members' houses. When I confronted this lady right here, she looked at me and said, you know, Dave, I had to let him sell meth out of my house. My daughter was sick. She's been, and I got to tell you the honest truth. The day that we witnessed the transaction in her window, a young man was murdered on Thunderbird Road by the local gang here. What they've done, you know, all these stolen cars in here, I'd never quite figured out how they're doing it until the other day you talked to me. On this particular day, I walk outside and there's this car, mayonnaise. Does anybody know what mayonnaise means? They take a jar of mayonnaise and they mayonnaise the car. Guess what? Fingerprint. Lots of stolen cars here. The day I built your fence, turned into a full-fledged gunfight. Me, 3 guys, 9mm on the ground, all of my children, gunfight right here, to the death. The day I built your fence. I mean, I'm in the middle of building it when they walk up smoking a joint with a stolen car. Well, mayonnaise was something new. But as I stared there at that, looking at that mayonnaise car, Jason, there was something new on the ground. Jake. That's Frank. There was something new on the ground.
That's what happened in my old neighborhood too. So
There was something new on the ground, and it was squawking. It was a walkie-talkie. I never understood how these kids in here were communicating, but I moved out of home at 14 to California. Phoenix was a rough place, and I opened a radio business. So I'm in radio telemetry, I'm an expert. Ham, TV, radio. The way that we have all this neat shit nowadays, all this electronic shit, is when we were kids, we used to have walkie-talkies. They stole all our frequencies. All those kids' walkie-talkies don't work. That's what's running all of the remote controls on the garage doors and shit. All of our old walkie-talkie frequencies were stolen and used for that. So that's how they communicated there. They have old school walkie-talkies. We can head back.
everybody got the photo taken there.
Huh?
You can guarantee everybody got the photo taken.
From
Whoever's bossing right now.
your own police officer told me, Ryan, that the gang members have stolen the drug dealers have stolen audio videos. Where me and Ryan went to the gate, be careful, we're being watched and talked to.
Well, you guys are fucking around down here. You 3 people walk back towards this way. Gates open now.
Well, gentlemen, this pretty much concludes for you guys. Jason, I'll be paying you $50 cash in the next few days for giving me a copy of that. I have your $100 an hour right now. Thank you. You're goddamn. Thank you.
No
And I'll also pay for the video presentation. So I have to tell you, there's an errant branch here. This one stupid branch is going over the roof line, and I will have that sucker off there today. But for the painting, I'm not within 2 feet of the building. I don't break the roof line. So I'm going to write okay on lot 166 Street.
I'll tell you, after the painting, though, we've been requested to make sure address numbers are at gates and front doors. So that's the next thing coming down the road.
Any explanation for constantly cutting all my plants off?
That guy's rogue. They take direction from me, and I didn't tell nobody to cut anything specifically. That's why the last landscapers got fired for cutting everything down.
My plants are gone. I have probably $2,000 of attorney fees on just this. That's about 5 hours of $400 an hour. All of these guys have retained all their bougainvilleas. Every board member has retained absolutely all of their lantana. Every single board member retained. And I gotta tell you, see right there on the day June and I divorced, was the most beautiful golden dwarf I ever bought in 2014. And that has sat vacant now for 9 years. And they planted that about 60 days ago. Just get that, but I gotta tell you, every board member, and see, this was a board member's house. You guys have planted trees here. Do you know that every tree you planted was in front of a board member's house? There's one of 4 criteria, guys. You pointed out, you think someone's watching us today. Does anybody know that Arizona, America is suffering from a crystal meth and a fentanyl crisis?
It's bad.
No, I'm telling you, a fucking crisis. People are dying. The war's ready to be fought over. So I have to tell you, if you think there's no narcotics traffickers in here watching us right now, you're fooling yourself. I've lived and worked here for 40 years. I moved here in 1990, so I put me here for 32 years. I built all of the fences. I built that. I gotta tell you, I was the first carpenter that showed up in 1984, and there was a
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
up, and I was the very last carpenter to leave.
You on? Yeah.
But I have to tell you, that was a hell of a job site, Steve. That was back when weed and cocaine was popular and Dan was living in it.
Un poquito, no. Oh, landscaping. Oh, landscaping. It's always something, you know. Have a good day.
Okay, so that's gonna heat up everybody's house.
All the trees are cut down, all the plants are gone, and it paints the place gray. And then they're pulling out of the grass and putting gravel.
There's 4 paint pallets. That's the trim pallets for the building. Like the wood.
Oh. As I forward back to my attorney how we've been bouncing back and forth without anything. Cindy has, we'll all agree that her tree was offended, hanging over the roof. Has been nonstop. And she trimmed it for the paint the other day, but I have various documented photographs that it was up against the building the whole time. See, board members don't have to, and we've actually been told by George Grimes, and you'll know George Grimes owns quite a few units of this. He's the one who built those fences. He totally enclosed the backyard in the Arizona room. I'd like to do that too.
Is this still in here?
Would you like an Arizona room in yours? So what we're gonna, when we explain to my attorney, all of us want to enclose our back patios into Arizona rooms. Totally enclosed. No, that's what they've done to the president while he was president of the board. And one final thing, Steve, if you could do for me.
That surprise you?
No, there's one final thing if you could do for me. If you look back in the litigation, one day, one of the board members came and said, you know, Dave, they're talking about you at the meeting. They're calling you an odd duck. So I sued. Put it right in the lawsuit. And then Ed Kramer called me crazy. So I sued again. I was doing all these things. I'm thinking today a fence is $5,000. 200 fences would be what? What's 200 times 5,000? $1 million? I was only going to charge them $200,000. Back in the day, they would have saved 800 G's if they wouldn't have stolen my identity to complete the project. So the other night, I'm walking through here, and the president of the board, she hollers in front of everybody, "Hey, Dave, you know, someone told me you're crazy. I need you to go back to them and stop them." I'm going to tell my attorney today. But what I need to know from you, Steve, is I want to know who told her that I was crazy because I didn't sue them. We're here today to look at $25,000 worth of work or possibly more. And the last thing I need is that you're board president running around telling people what? That I'm crazy. Because they've lost every litigation and have paid me. And we know about the drug dealing. We know about the human trafficking. It's very obvious. When every single tree you planted, you gave not one to anybody but board members. Everyone. And I'll prove it with letters to my attorney. So I need her to stop. So let's see, we're that. We're not going to talk much more about the drug dealers because these guys aren't involved in that. But I want to get to the final issues of the dogs. Here's where I'm probably going to have to ask for the $6 million, Steve, because I don't know how to get over this. I walk my dogs here every day. You know Bella and Moose.
Yeah.
He knows Bella and Moose.
I've seen the little one.
Let me, my opinion, you guys, real quick. Most people in the world pick dogs as pets for two reasons. Generally, what do you think they'd be?
They're mine or family.
Oh, companions. Do you know the other probably main reason people pick dogs? There's probably a few, but the other main reason, protection. You know what I mean? Security. They bark, right? I know there's dog breeders, and I mean, there's probably people that buy dogs. Some people have sex with dogs. They fucking maybe buy them for that. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? But they're both. But I'm thinking most people, the two general reasons people get dogs, I'm hoping, from the shelters and the rescues, are love them, companion, family, or protection, guard dog. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Well, when you walk through here, it's easy to tell whose houses have dogs, you know, and what houses have something possibly going on, because we're going to walk past 2 yards that are going to go off like a goddamn explosion bomb.
Well, there's one over there.
Well, now, so I've been harassed by quite a few Karens. Get your dogs on a leash. Well, I want to tell you something, Steve. You see that right there? I have a confession to make to you, Steve. Open and close your eyes. Did he open and close his eyes here?
No.
Do it again. You do it? What do you think I'm doing? I'm legally blind, Steve. I can't see. I'm 100% legally blind. My vision is what's called 2400.
Oh, so I could turn the bushes.
Oh, you could have put a green donkey over. I honestly, God, I have what's called 2400 vision. Does anybody ever been to an optometrist and know what 2400 vision is? I see at 20 feet what you see at 400 feet. So 100 foot past the football field, whatever you see, I can't even see it from here to the corner of that house. I can't see you right now, Jason. You were just a figure to me.
When I see you on the road, then I'm going to pull.
Well, fucking, I gotta tell you what, guys. You see a
Flip
red
'em off.
Dodge quad cab Hemi fucking rolling down the road, get the motherfucker out of the way, because the motherfucker driving that's blind. I guarantee it. I know it for a fact. Now, I'm scared because at 65, I'm gonna have to take my eye test, so what are they gonna do, Jay? They're gonna pop my license. And then after all this shit you guys have put me through since I was 30 years old, I'm never gonna have a license. So the reason, this is the reason I'm not wearing my glass ACS scarf, and it's also the reason the guy that murdered June figures into it also. But one day, the year we divorced, 2014, my daughter called me. There were 2 large, loose running dogs here. So me and my son went and got the dogs, and they were big monsters, docile, nice. Well, after a few hours of feeding and watering, Mr. Docile Dogs came to life, and they were fucking monsters. At 1 minute, Glenn's person answered the door and said, "Dave, here's some meat for the dogs." As I turned to grab the meat, they ran over to Carolyn's house, grabbed her cat, disemboweled her. I fought with the big dog, tore the fucking disemboweled cat out of her goddamn hands, ran it to Carolyn's house, an old lady she lived, and beat on her door in tears and handed her a disemboweled dying cat, and guess what she did? Raced in the fucking car to the, is that what you do with your dog?
Yeah.
You let it die there miserably.
Oh, hell no.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah,
been
fuck
thousands
yeah.
after that.
Oh no, fuck yeah. So now you just pointed to that house over there. The corner house right there is a gentleman who owns the large homeless church at Metro Center. Him and his wife walk their dog there every night named Kazi. The reason they have a dog named Kazi is one night they were walking around the corner of the pool with their dog on a leash when the dog you're talking about ran around the corner and killed her dog, ripped it to shreds out of her arms. She had to sit there fighting and dying and watching her dog eaten in front of her. Yesterday I watched.
You talking about his name?
The second house, that I'm pointing to the house right there. That dog disemboweled and killed a lady's dog right out of her fucking hand. Yesterday I watched the Mexican drug cartel feed a man to a lion. You should look at it, it's on the internet. Anyway, so in 2002, the year June died, the lady that lives right here, she's the next door neighbor to your direct report. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I was laying in bed with my son when I hear this, "Help! Help! He's killing me! Help! He's killing me! Help! Help!" I mean, guttural. And after all we've explained today, you can imagine what I was thinking at 2 in the morning. I'm like, kill her. Well, after about 5 minutes of it, my son woke me up. He's like, "Dad, you gotta do something." So I come running out my front door, and there's Carolyn. She's staying. It's Evie. It's Ebony. So I'm blind, guys. I'm fucking blind. Middle of the night, I'm in my skivvies. I'm blind. All the streetlights have been burned out here because of the drug trafficking for all the years he's lived here. Bullshit. That one was fixed 48 hours ago. That one was burned out for 20 years. This one is burned out. I have full photographs, and there's satellites that'll tell you the day they burned out and the day they went in. So anyway, I come running around the corner. Streetlights burned out, and I see something on the ground. But I've got 2400 vision. It's dark. There's no lights, and I see an image. But it's screaming for help, guys. So I fucking run to it. And it's that lady's on the ground with her standard poodle. A pit bull has it by the neck. He's chewed to shit. The dog's chewed to shit. And there I am fighting the dog to my death. So I get the dog, fight the motherfucker to my death, get it on the ground, holding it firmly. And we've all seen the movie Jaws, right? You know the movie Jaws, the first one where it builds up to the crescendo and then they don't get the shark, and an hour later it builds up and they don't get the shark. So I'm thinking everything's fine, right? And the lady looks at me and she goes, there's two of them. And I've got one. Her dog's dying. She's full of shit. So I start screaming, help, help, screaming, help, I need a man here. Guess how many people came? Your neighbor comes running in his underwear across the fucking street. So what can I do? I go, dude, I got this pit bull. There's another one. She's hurt. Her dog's hurt. I go, can you just get this lady safely to her yard? So he got her safely to her yard, and she put the dog down the next morning. During our litigation here, about 12 months ago, your direct report's daughter, this is her daughter's house. You notice the board member president's daughter has a tree. She also has another tree. Well, the board president's daughter was walking her dog in the exact same fucking location in the afternoon, when all of a sudden it happens again. I'm in my house. Help, help, help. So I run out the fucking door, and sure as shit, the daughter's on the ground with her dog, and a 70-pound pit is on them both. You know Roscoe. I knew Roscoe too. Wasn't quite, I know, if you knew Roscoe like I knew Roscoe, ooh, what a boy. She was scared to fucking death, and the dog had her down. But Roscoe's a great dog, so I got Roscoe out and he went home. 6 months ago, I was going to talk to the people about the first dog attack, and I barely made it there when I heard the screaming again. So I made it over to the street corner right there, and there was another lady with her dog fully attacked. The two ladies from the urgent care had beat me there, and she was on the phone to 911. I can't verify this, I didn't see it, but the lady from the urgent care was talking on 911. She said that the young girl's thumb was completely degloved. Just tore it off, bone and all, or just a skin. So there's 5 deadly dog attacks. Their dog killed Kazi. Her dog was killed by her. She was attacked by him. Her thumb was bitten off. It seems like I'm missing one. But you know what, Steve, when there's one common denominator to all of these. You know what it is? Every one of the dogs were on a leash.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Every fucking one was on a leash. And guess what it did to them? Cost them their lives.
Oh,
So
the ones that got attacked by the loose,
like right now,
by the
my little
loose ones.
Chihuahua, if we're here right now,
Right.
and a big mean dog comes running up, there's a basic instinct of all living animals on earth. You know what it is?
Run.
Fight or flight. Let me tie you up with a leash and then send you down to the south side Phoenix and see how good you can do with a leash around your neck, all wrapped up in your legs with a big dog on you. I have no intention of doing that. Either we're going to change the rules, I'm going to ask for $60 million and sue this place and leave. On the night June and I divorced, a major drug trafficker in Troy, Metcalf, I went over to check on my trailer and he was in front of it. So in front of the board member's house, I approached him. At that time, a gentleman came up behind me with a rock and hit me in the back of the head. So there I'm at 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning, guy's trying to steal my trailer. I've just been attacked, hit in the back of the head with a rock. I was born in Maryville and grew up in the south side. I'm a lot tougher than the kids in your neighborhood, guaranteed.
Yeah, Maryville. Yeah.
Well, just my South Phoenix route. So, I know enough about stabbings and shootings. Most people who are stabbed and shoot don't even know it. Bullets, knives, they go in and go out. Nerves don't even get affected. I've looked at hundreds of people, seriously, and said, dude, you're hurt. No, I'm fine. I go, dude, let's go. We're going to the emergency room. So the first thing I did was reach back in my head. I didn't know if I'd been stabbed or what, and I was hitting the back of the head with a rock. So I said, I'm not going to stay here and kick these two fucking asses. But common sense took over and I ran home. During the first lawsuit, your employees were washing their minivan right there. June walked over here with a camera. When he saw her do it, he jumped in, floored the fucking vehicle sideways, trying to run her over. I ran out and got in front of her. June's dead. Prior to her death, the gentleman who was paving this street right here, not this paving recently, but this one, she had mentioned to him that there's an urban legend that some of these houses have tunnels and pathways to see. There's a book written about it.
Really?
And yesterday, in 1962, a federal lawsuit said that police officers have to disclose what's called the bracelet. It's a list of officers who have a discretion. Well, from 1962 until last week, it got published. Sure as shit, I'm the only slip in the family. My whole family is Phoenix PD, Glendale Fire, United States Marines. I am the only one of all my brothers, all of them. Both brothers, United States Marines, dad, United States Marines, brother in Naval Academy,
awesome.
Cousin, Glendale Police Department. The guy who lands the helicopter, that's my cousin.
Nice.
I don't know if we'll get over it, guys, but she said something to that guy, and then your employee walked over to June with his wife and went kaboom and cold case raccooned her fucking ass. And the dirty cops in here that promote the drug trafficking and have overlooked it, because that's why I offered the $250,000 to the guy. I had a police officer the day look at me, Jason, and he goes, you know, I'm the narcotics detective that's organized all of the drug raids in your complex. And I'm like, I'm the fucking lawn boy who's worked here for 35 fucking years. You've never raided any house. Every drug operation in this complex and human trafficking has operated with absolute impunity. Only one time has it ever been busted up, and only one neighbor ever stepped forward and did it. And we're in that gentleman's presence. Now, your employee Ryan, one night I walked over here, this is a human trafficking, and your police officer was in a fully marked, unmarked police car. He was fully dressed, fully armed, with full arrest powers of your agreement when you hired him, and furniture's flying out of the window. So I walked to the dumpster, and Ryan looks at me and goes, you know, Dave, if one more piece of furniture comes out the window, I'm going to arrest her for something. I go, well, let me help, Ryan. So I walked in, I'm like, what? I'll remember in a minute. I go, you know, the cops out here, they want to arrest you, you're in a tight spot. I go, let me go get my truck and trailer. Let's just load this shit up and go. She had a little daughter named Faith, and a little redheaded son who ran wild at me. Nancy told me that, who has those other, she told me that she saw 2,000 men going that down. So here I am, the police are outside, I'm with this girl, I forget her name, it was one of those stripper names like Sunshine or something. And I'm in her daughter's room, Jason, and there on the wall at two places are two great big signs. This girl's 5 years old, 6 years old. Fuck my cunt. I want you to fuck my cunt. Fuck my cunt. I want you to fuck my cunt. I watched Ed Kramer going in and out of that house 20 times. All of it's in previous. I want $60 million, Steve. Fuck my cunt. I want you to fuck my cunt. Anita sat there and watched that little girl get trafficked. She needs to go to prison for what Anita knows. Anita knows every drug dealer. When we get this to court, we're going to ask Justin Harris, who got the free fence and all the fancy landscaping, why he knows the dead prostitute, Tammy Carpenzano, why he knows the dead prostitute, April Hull, and after my wife divorced me, her morality got a pretty goddamn loose, and she's dead too. And I gotta tell you, here, hold this please. One thing neat about this generation, Steve, and our generation, there's a lot of stupid ass motherfuckers out there, I gotta tell you. And this is probably one of the stupidest motherfuckers in the world. This is a gentleman named Troy Metcalf. He's the guy who tried to hit me in the back of the head. He was Chris's business partner when they sold my trailer. So I'm going to type in Troy, T-R-O-Y, Metcalf. Because he is going to be instrumental in this lawsuit. And for the first fucking time it doesn't pull up. But I'm going to just send you guys a picture. He has a proud picture. Troy systematically open-air drug sales out of every board member's house. They run what's called the rape trade. It's over in the trailer park over here, and there are police officers involved in it. They sell what's called tailored rapes. My children know about them, lots of the girls. If you think Jeffrey Epstein's the only person who's been involved in this shit, guys, think again. We're done here for today, but what we're going to do is walk past a couple houses. I want to emphasize on the dogs. It's my impression people buy dogs for various reasons. There's a few houses here, and I've given my pedigree, and they're diving into dog fights, but I'm scared to fuck it. And you'll hear one of them in a minute. This reminds me of Jurassic Park, when they go to feed the raptor cage. Because in a minute, you boys are going to be lit on fire. This was a board member's house. You notice this strip snoot? Now she falls under the porch. She stuck up for me. So Ed Kramer came in, stripped her entire landscaping out 22 years ago, which was stripped out in 2000. I built that fence, Steve, back when you were 30 years. Thank you guys all very much for joining us. I'm not sure what time it is. I don't think Alicia can help. And if my dog had a taxi, I don't want to tell you the story how they were disemboweled and I had to run crying to the vet to have them put to sleep because I'm in the first place. I have about $40,000 worth of vet bills paying for all these sick cats in here. You would not believe it, those red spider mites. I have photographs of the most beautiful animals you've ever seen. I'm going to show you one here in a minute with all the sickness. So this has to be taken care of. Thank you again for coming out. I have no personal animosity. What is the guy that grew up in your neighborhood? Okay, name someone you grew up with. God, I know it's
The Downing, they own the dump truck service, the Domries. They're right on Greenway and 45th.
You never played at that really neat house right in the corner of 51st and Street. We got to go drink a beer sometime. Dude, we were born we're brothers from different mothers, dude. And you treat the mic? Oh, this is your gun, yeah, of course. Open rider, rubber dialogue. You don't need a license, you don't. You know me, I was going to sneak up and do it someday, but somebody will see me do it and sue me. They'll say they got sick from my unwarranted. You know, it's also since the lawsuit, it was quite a melee. You fired the last company you fired? Professional landscaper, 40 years, guys. Opened my business in 1981. You trim a tree.
Yeah.
You hedge a bush. You trim a tree with trimmers, either clippers or. What about the hedger? Well, and you trim a hedge with a hedger. Now, in cheaper places like this, you pull your hedger out of your truck and you go to work. But when you're talking the expensive resorts in Scottsdale, there are some specimen plants there. You do not pull your hedge trimmer out. You take your hedge trimmer out, you take a hose and some Clorox and you clean it because mice and diseases transfer from property to property. That's right.
Bush is filled over, nobody's done anything.
It's been filled over for a year.
So,
Okay, so anyway,
you can totally clearly see.
your guys, every time they didn't do it last time because this APL, and I gotta tell you, all the narcotics trafficking and all the human trafficking, there was a street there. Oh, wait till I tell you what I did one day. I kicked in a police officer's door, took two boys, tore my shirt off, took around, climbed up on a fence, put a sign that says, I challenge whoever did this to a fight today, this is $500 cash. 6 cop cars came in, and the police officer's family and the other 4 both had stolen cars. You trim a tree, the landscaping on Coronas are the finest, they're the best. And you hedge a bush. And hedging's different too, because in expensive applications you clean your equipment. So, how is it the name of your landscapers is APL, Tacoma Park Local, the name of the same street gang that's ran this place for 30 years? Is that just a coincidence? Oh, come on, guys. Come on. Okay, I'll accept that one. But
I've been using them forever. They're Arizona panoramic.
as long as you knew them before they were drug users.
they were.
Oh, okay. So at any rate,
I see the hedge right here.
do you know what this is? This is a skittle. No, what is it?
Well, I thought it was mulberry.
Yeah, but you know what type of mulberry it is? This has the
Yeah,
most
it's not
beautiful.
like my mulberry.
This has the most beautiful fruit. There's 3 types of fruity mulberries. This is one variety, the small purple. That's the large white, and that's the large purple. How they could all, and this was volunteer too. Where it came from, I don't know, because its neighbors are different species. So at any rate, every year, this is a skittle tree. I mean, the entire tree turns purple, red, and green. It's the most edible, and these are the most healthiest. I'm 61 years old, guys. Has it hit you yet? No. Not at all. What? A little tingly feeling in the feet in the morning? It's coming, Bob. You got all sorts of neat things coming when you get old. Believe me, vision, hearing, neuropathy. Okay, so these are very good. So every year, and except for yesterday, he grabs his hedgers and just walks through here whacking all this shit up. All the way to, you'll notice I can't touch my canopy. I'm 6 foot tall. All of your canopies touch my head. You're trimming my tree. So anyway, one day the guy takes it upon himself, see, and walks up to this beautiful branch with his hedge trimmer, and look what he does. I'm going to take, this is one photo of the tree. What do you think of that? I would say his equipment wasn't
Well, no, I had trimmer to do that.
well, what do you think that did to my tree?
Well, it definitely pissed it off.
Agreed. May even kill it someday. I'll sue him for that too. Well, guys, thank you. We hit everything. I want to get these guys paid. He wants to do a walkthrough. They want a fence. Jason's a licensed general contractor. Who?
Somebody over there.
The corner right here.
Give me his card.
Shirley.
Or they have his card.
Yeah, how come you guys don't recommend me in local work? I did more work than anybody around here. Oh, because I turned in the board members for embezzling, theft, narcotics trafficking, human
I don't
trafficking.
know about, since we've only been here 3 years, I don't know anything before.
They go through management companies like you wouldn't believe. It's a huge turnover
Well,
thing.
our reputation, our history with our HOAs, we've been there 20, 30, 40 years. We've been here since 2019. So,
But I mean, it was like every year a new company would have to come in. 'Cause
Theft,
it's an issue.
embezzlement, drug. I mean, we know.
Yeah.
You're a
It's really
professional
bad,
landscape or management company. There must be some issues in your repertoire that are on the tougher ends to deal with. We're
Ed used to
contractors.
assault me all the time.
what's that?
Ed Kramer used to come over to my house and assault me all
I've
the time.
heard stories about him, but I don't know him.
Right.
But that's the thing with us is if we don't like the way things are running, we exit. You know, it's like I said, I'm not here to find everybody.
Well, because you don't want to be caught up in the middle of shit.
Well, everybody's gonna hate
That's why
everybody.
everybody gets the hell out.
Well, I agree. In the end, you need to go home and go to sleep. So does he. It looks like you both have wives.
Well,
I see the wedding ring.
and
Well, because you reap what you sow.
and most management companies make money on fines. They make $15 or
Wait,
whatever.
you wouldn't be talking about the time when the management company decided to do what's called mailboxing. When you were here, they were taking all of your payments, putting them in their mail to a post office box, not opening it till the 31st, and then writing everybody a point blank. Dude, I can't tell you the embezzlement kind of like.
Yeah. Our company, my in-laws started in '74. My wife and I took it over 4 years ago. We're second generation. We are the owners on the property. We don't have property managers running around out here. I'm the one that's on property every week.
You broke the mold.
Our parents did.
No, you broke the mold. Born and raised in the valley.
Yeah.
You know any other businesses that were taken over by children? I know every major construction company in the valley. J.R. Porter's been taken over. Right in the ground. Barrett Homes took it over. Right in the ground.
There's a little piece though. It's kind of funny because it's not something my wife and I wanted, but she felt the legacy and she wanted to carry it on.
My point is the first generation makes it and the second generation loses it being lazy. I can't tell you how many friends I have who parents are very successful businessmen. I have friends who are 62 years old, sitting in their parents' house today in the original bedroom that we sat in high school doing bonding, looking at me saying, Dave, I'm going to join the fire department.
We're in her parents' house. They've owned it for 52 years. We're in it. So when I do remodeling, I change out the arcadia, I put in fridge doors. She cries a little bit because she grew up in that house since a year and a half old. And me changing stuff.
Let's all get out. We're going to do great. Steve, I got to tell you, you're cut out of the same mold. We come from the same neighborhood. We went to the same schools. I married everybody in your neighborhood. I know more about Charles Greenway than you ever could. Hopefully his legacy is going to get rewritten.
So I dropped out of school and went to work.
I went to work at 12 years old for the Republic newspapers. I lied my age at 14, said I was 16, got a job at the Silver Dollar Drive-In. I've worked my entire life. I put myself through 6 years of university with no student loan. I've never lied, cheated, or stole anything from everybody. Since I've been here, I've had my identity stolen. Just since I've been with you, the window was shot out of my truck. The tires were sliced on all of my vehicles on July 4th. This street light's been burned out for 10 years, and I'm pretty sure if the street light wasn't burned out, and that damn truck window that you see over there, you're getting attacked. Well, the window was 10 years ago. I went out to my truck, and the battery was dead.
I'm not going to tag that.
The battery was dead, and the latch didn't work on the driver's side. So I walk up to my truck, and there's my glass.
All the way to where I moved.
There's all my glass on the floor. And I'm like, that's so weird. When someone breaks into a car, they punch in the window, the glass goes on the seat, but there's the glass on the floor, on the street. So I get in the truck, and I'm like, the battery, guess what happened? Guy broke into the truck, tried to start it, battery dead, wanted to get out, door lock didn't handle it anymore. Too stupid to slide over to the passenger side and get out of the fucking unrunning truck. So what's the car to do? Kicks out my fucking window. That's the only reason the window could have been on it had to be kicked from the inside out to get on the street. So I replaced it, and goddamn it, I couldn't find it. I had to buy 2 full doors to get the window to that stupid truck. So sitting over here somewhere is 2 big Chevy doors. And then just a few months ago, during this litigation here, my window was shot out in the parking lot. both the tires were slit on the Firebird, the tires were slit on this red truck, and the tires were slit on my work truck. Prior to June dying, all of the tires were slit on this truck. I gotta tell you, I'm the most vocal person here to put.
Wow.
One day I was building a fence, Steve, and I'm building it, and I turn around, and this little chick walks up to me in a little shirt with a can of spray paint. She walks right up to me. Turns around with no panties. And she gets in a car with these gangsters, and I'm with my 6-year-old son, and there's a big pile of sand, so they back their hot rods up into the sand, and just burn out, just full burn out, me and my son, wow, 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 right? So we quit and go home. I wake up the next morning, and all the fences in that part of the complex are graffiti. So I go over to the 2 cars, and I look at them, and they're lowered. One's a fuck truck, one's a Camaro. They're so low, I can't read the street after. So I beat on the fucking hoods till the alarms go off and no one came out. So now I'm pissed. So I get on the ground, I look real close, I get this address, I walk up to the front door, and I just kick that fucking front door, and I'm like, whoever's in this motherfucking house better come out, because I'm coming in. And 2 boys come running down the stairs, so I grab them. And I take them past the other house over here, where I rip my shirt off and break my shovel. I said, you know what, boys? When I'm done beating your fucking ass, I'm going to show you how men fuck, because then I'm going to fuck your fucking ass. About that time, we get around the corner, and I kick in the second gate. Boom. 6 Glendale PDs. I mean, over the grass, 6 of them. Ba-boom, ba-boom, and they're all running up on me. I'm like, well, what's up, gentlemen? Are you looking for the madman kicking in doors or for the gangsters graffitiing the fences? He goes, we're looking for both. I go, good news, you found them. So I've taken a 10, underneath these things are a very rare piece of plywood. You ever see 10-foot plywood? There is 10, I've been in construction 40 years, never seen a sheet. But I took a piece of 10-foot plywood off, and I wrote, I challenge whoever did this to a fight to the death, $500 cash, and I put it against the fence where all the gangsters were. So the Glendale PD made me, with my shirt off, get up on the fence and take that gangster photo of Bad Boy Dave, you know? So we're sitting there, and the gangsters are there, and the cops, and I'm looking at the gangsters and the 2 cars, and you see my old work truck. It's looked like that all my life. And the cop looks at me and goes, you know, Mr. Simmons, we just think you're jealous of these nice young boys because they drive nicer cars. So I looked at him and said, you know, officer, the reason these boys drive nicer cars is you come look, because there's no VIN numbers, they're all drilled out. Cops wouldn't do a fucking thing. Well, I knew right then that I was in. Do you know what crime means? Do you know what organized crime means? Do you know there's organized crime in America?
Oh, yeah.
When I say organized, what that means is it's an organization. They have military type structure. They usually have politicians, police officers. That's how the Italian mafia, the Mexican mafia, that's organized crime, guys, has dirty police involved. That's what the fuck word organized crime means. So when I'm looking at 2 stolen cars, 6 cop cars, bunch of gang members, graffiti, and who's the only guy in trouble? I knew I was in trouble, right? So I look at the young man. This is where he figures in. And I said, son, I go, you see this piece of concrete right here? It's actually this one right here. So this piece of concrete is 3 feet long, 3 feet wide. How many square feet are there? He knew, did you? That's how you buy a yard. That's right, it's called a square yard. Well, I knew that I was dealing with some pretty smart boys and a bunch of crooked cops. So I looked at the guy. I didn't want to go to jail. I just kicked in a police officer's door, 2 doors. I kidnapped 2 people. I threatened to kill him. I threatened to rape him. And I figured I was going to fucking jail. So I look at the cops. I look at the 2 gangster kids. I go, I tell you what, boys, officers. I go, I'm upset. You guys always know this. I go, let me tell you the truth. This is how I make my money. I have children at home, babies I have to feed. I go, you see these fences? I go, this is how I make my money. I go, and then at night when I leave and you come here and you steal my trailer, and you steal my wheelbarrow, and you steal my shovels, and you piss and shit in my sand just to fuck with me, and you knock this around and steal my block. I go, I can't feed my family. I got to work for free, right? So the police officers look at me. I go, tell you what, officers. I go, how about let's do this? How about if I just hire you 3 fine young men to come work for me tomorrow, and you'll have an understanding what a hot day is in the sun and a hard work. Well, lo and behold, Steve, I was building this fence, Jason Bailey's fence, and the year was 1993. You were 31. So I'm sitting here building the fence when the boys all show up. Now, they've been going through the neighborhood for a week prior in this convertible black Cavalier, sitting on the back deck. You know, spring breaking. The whole complex. So this place used to rock. The gang owned it, right? The APL, the Coma Park Local Gang, owned it. And so they show up in that little convertible, and they walk up to me. I'm working on this fence, And Mike Ortiz, he confronted me the other day. When I met him, he was 15 in the state, but it's been 30 years, so now he's 45, and he has 2 teardrops. So I assume he served time since I saw him last. And Mike Ortiz is sitting there smoking a joint, right here on a job site at HOA. I've got the board, the customers, I'm looking at him, he's smoking a joint. And they hadn't been there 2 seconds. And I'm like, guys, I go, I'm a union carpenter by trade, so it's first break. I go, let's all go take a break and come back in a little bit and get back to work. So I left there, and they left, and I went over and looked at the car, the steering column. Thank you again, Jason. $50 if you'll just send that to me. I have the cash today. Thank you. So the steering column's cracked, and there's a T-shirt over it. So I leave. Now they've got a stolen car, and your HOA on my job. I was contracted to build all 200 fences here. I was 30 years old and won a job to do 200 fences. Was that a landslide for an unlicensed contractor, single 4-dick broke it from Southside, right? So I walked over to the house, right? My father, my 72-year-old father, Purple Heart recipient from Guadalcanal, received his Purple Heart on the island of Palau. Anybody who's a war expert on battles of fight? There's been 3 battles in the history of man in the last 5,000 years. Leonidas fought one of them. The United States Marines fought it, where 10,000 men were put in 1 mile square and told to take no what?
Was that I had an uncle there, I think.
1 mile square island. The end of World War II. The finest battle-hardened Marines. The finest of the Imperial Army. All samurais. Because it was the last battle, they put their women and children on the island and told them, look, if you lose the fucking war and you come back to Japan, guess what you have to do? That's the honor of the samurai.
Right,
you lose a war, you come home and kill yourself. He goes, so you're going to be dead one way or the other. He goes, so we're putting your family on the island. So my father's orders in Guadalcanal were to shoot men, women, and children. And I got to tell you guys, he was a 30 caliber gunner. If you've ever fired a high caliber rifle at a little child and watched the explosion it did, look at the Yoruba schoolmasters. And my father did it, man. My father mowed the fuck out of those dudes. Okay, so anyway, so I go over there and there's my 72-year-old father after all the shit he'd been through with my 3 children.
Did he live there?
No, he was babysitting.
Okay.
So I walk in the house, Steve, and I go upstairs to grab my 9mm, and when I get down to the bottom of the stairs, my dad's gone and my children are gone. And I walk outside, and there's my father, 72 years old, my 3-month-old son, my 15-month-old daughter, and my 4-year-old son, and they're surrounded by 3 guys whose shirts are off with full body tattoos that say Mexican Mafia, Local 13, right? And they've got my kids surrounded, my father and my children. These are your people from your board of directors, every one of them. And it's got my father surrounded, and I got that 9mm. So I step out of the door, and Mike Ortiz looks at me. He's about 6'4" now. He looks at me and goes, Dave, he goes, you're just all bad because you got that gun. So there's Brian James, DJ, and there's Steve Ortiz and Mike Ortiz, all patched in members of the Pomacarp Locos. They've all been fully jumped in. And I know the dirty deeds they did to get in because these boys used to check in with me. So I take the 9mm, Steve, and I set it on the ground. Right there, so 3 boys, and my father's behind me. I said, you know what, guys? There's 3 of you and 1 of me. And the gun's on the ground. Time to jump, monkey. So the biggest kid, what he does is he just takes off and walks away crying. I'm thinking, born and raised in the valley, Steve, what did that mean? I dished him in front of his homies. He was going to go get an AK-47 and come back and kill us all. So I ran his fucking ass down and put my arm around him and said, you know, son, I go, you're the ones who graffitied my trees. You're the ones doing the drugs, stealing the cars, smoking into my jobs, attacking my family. You're going to reach into your heart, son, and look to Jesus Christ to figure a way out of this. Because if it's left up to me, it's going to be done by the goddamn devil. Guaranteed. I'm a union carpenter. You know who Kent Shuck was? Shuck and Son?
Oh, yeah.
The day Kent Shuck died, one of the biggest union officials walked up to me at American Express with a scar this long in the building. And Froggy Gene was right there. You know this? And I said, no, Gene, I don't know. He goes, you know, Kent Shuck died in a ditch today. Because, you know, he fucked a awful lot of men in our union. And Stevie flipped that cigar and walked away. I'm not so certain. I know my union. I know what happened to Jimmy Hoff, I can assure you. The truckers union, the Teamsters, doesn't hold a fucking candle to the Carpenters Union. Carpenters Union nationwide right now is the largest customer. We build every goddamn bridge, mountain, freeway, dam that's fucking happened. Not truckers. They sit in their trucks, air conditioned. We're the men that get out there in the hot heat and desert. So Ever since I've lived here, see, it's been nothing but fist fights. One night, I fought 5 fucking guys over there. Right? 3 calls to 911. On the 3rd call, he goes, man, 2nd call. So we're not sending anybody out. So once it got in the fight, I made one final call. I said, you know, man, no need to send anybody out. I'm more than capable here. But you might want to send a ambulance out for these 5 young men. Because I have to tell you, Steve, I built that tunnel, the Phoenician. About every goddamn major project, bridge, dam, everything on 17 here. Men die. I felt dying. I felt 5 people dying in my arms in my life. Thank you very much for your time today. This is nonsense. What he's gone through, what I've gone through, this past litigation. And I tell you, in this last lawsuit, I met your attorney in court. In June, we just fleeced him for $98,000. We walked into court that day, and your attorney that you have right now is sitting in court with the representative before you, Christine, and June's sitting there. And she's got all her shit together, and I mean, I'm getting ready to kick your ass. And I look over at my ex-wife, and she goes, she was fucking balls-ass drunk, passed out right in the goddamn courtroom right after they said, court's in order. So I look at your attorney in there and I said, Your Honor, what do I own? He looks at the judge and says, I don't know. I go, Your Honor, right now, what do I owe you, dude? You just throw a fucking figure here, and right now I gotta tell you, tonight I'll have you $2,000, I'll have you $2,000, and the judge goes, sir, he goes, today's Thursday. He goes, if you'd like to wait till Monday to pay the $2,000. I go, no fucking shit. Well, I did. And then we ended right back up into this litigation, this fire one, because here's what they did. We agreed in court to do something, but your attorney didn't hold good to his word. What he did is you're born and raised in the valley, so am I. Most of my friends are dead or in prison. How about yours? Yeah. 90% of kids I grew up with are dead or in prison. Yeah. Do you know what the term second page is? No. I gotta tell you, Steve, I'm not a good guy. I'm the guy in high school your mother did not want you fucking talking to. In 1981, I was laying in bed. My mom walked in through the newspaper on my chest, and there was my boss. I was a poor kid. There was my boss. He was grand jury indicted as a kingpin of the largest cocaine ring in 5 states, James Rudolph Hearn. Believe me, dude. I'm no good dude. I've done shit, plenty of illegal shit in my life.
But that's where the second page comes in, right?
So I know people. I have a friend of mine. You're familiar with the organization in town called Other Mothers? Yeah. I know the owner of Owner Mothers. It's Tony. Great guy, monstrous cocaine dealer, one of the largest in the state. In fact, when Rudy got put out of business, Tony used to sit down in Rudy's girlfriend's bedroom and fuck on Rudy's girlfriend and her little sister, right? Now Tony, the owner of Other Mothers, Mexican, gangster, hardcore, full tatted out. He has juice. He has men that sleeps with him on the floor wherever he goes. He has a collection of cars like you wouldn't believe. But then one day, James Rudolph Hearn, Kingpin of cocaine, his girlfriend's little sister, and Tony took off back east with a load of 200 pounds of marijuana. They get into fucking Arkansas or Alabama or Kansas, and Sandy lights up a joint in the truck with 200 pounds of weed, and goddamn, they get pulled over. Well, 1987, Tony goes to jail. The owner of Other Mothers, that nice fucking chain of stores, beautiful wife, great idea. Tony goes to jail in 1987 for these 200 pounds of marijuana, which a man that rich, he was barely over the threshold. He should have got off. But I'm sure Sandy and Rudy had something to do with him spending some extra time in prison. But at any rate, you know, that was 87, 97, 2007. It's been a while, huh? Well, about 20 years ago, his first 17 years was up. You know, Tony was ready to come out and take over Other Mothers. You got to see his wife, the most beautiful blonde women. I mean, one of the most beautiful women in the world. And his children, mulatto. Walks out that penitentiary and wherever the hell it was, Leavenworth, and just then they hit him with
another
second page. See, you can be served 15 years in prison, and they don't say a fucking word to you, and the day you get out, they do what's called second page you. It was the flip side of the page you didn't see 30 years ago. So that's what your guy did, is we went in court that day. They provided you the drugs and alcohol. We've given it to the police. I've offered $250,000 to 2 police officers. The gentleman we spoke to was the one that put this drug business. This was a major method. His father was a police officer. It's the only way this got busted. I have the full arrest report and all the documentation from the arrest and action. They did that in 2007. I walked by that day and found a lady standing out there crying. Her daughter had just been taken to prison or to jail, and she had to get her granddaughter punched the clean. I didn't like what happened. She was piling shit up. I cleaned out the entire unit. took everything to storage, and it sat vacant. 2007, 2008, 2009 is when you hired Ryan. Then starting about 2008, every day I wake up, people, meth, heroin, I go in there and chase them out. Lots of little kids play here. You know, it'd be very easy for a bad guy to grab them, suck them in there, murder them before his parents even knew it was gone. So I secured it. So finally one day, an agent of their came up to me, Ryan, police officer, David, I need you to secure that house. Every time I caught someone there, I called the Glendale PD, they'd get to right about there and they'd look at me and say, they'd look right there, they'd look at me and do this. I'm like, what? They go, they go. So from 2007 to 2017, that was mine. In 2017, after 10 years of taking care of it, fighting off the meth dealers there, do you think I deserve to own it? What had happened was the guy who owned that was he worked for Maricopa County Adult Probation Service. He didn't want to be connected to that drug house, so he told me that they're just going to let it go back. Well, he didn't do that. He used the same maritime law that Terry Schiavo's husband used to put Terry Schiavo to sleep. He scuttled it. He flotsam and jettled it. It was the mortgage was held by GMAC, General Motors Acceptance Corp. They had just gone bankrupt in their mortgage division. They didn't want it. No one owned it. No one wanted it. The board had no interest. Sat vacant for years. So I took care of it, cleaned it, maintained it for 10 years. And after 10 years, I decided that through adverse possession, it was mine. So one night, Mark, I come home in 2017, and Ryan's waiting here in this police car. He says, Dave, he goes, I need your shit out of there. I'm like, huh? He goes, the board wants your shit out of there. I'm like, huh? He goes, yeah, the mortgage company wants your shit out of there. I'm like, well, which is it? Is it the board or the mortgage company? Well, he saw our default. I go, Ryan, you're lying. So the mortgage company's default. And the board don't care. And he's in his full police uniform. I go, I gotta tell you what, Ryan. I was just informed by that gentleman right there, the board member's husband, that you're taking money from the heroin dealers. Fully armed police officer in uniform. I go, huh? I go, what, Ryan? I go, you think it was easy for me, for a citizen, to walk up to a fully armed police officer in uniform and say, hey, dude, everybody around here thinks you're a heroin dealer. I go, it wasn't easy, Ryan, but that's what they're saying about you, and I thought you should know. Well, they lied to me. And then they took that home and sold it. So in the $60 million, that's part of what I have 10 years worth of hard work there. The board did absolutely nothing to stop it. And I gotta tell you, Steve, I've lived here for 33 years. I've raised 3 children here. You're raising children. All of my children went to Katina. To this day, the principal of Katina, my trailer is sitting up at his house. Unlike you. I know fucking everything. Every major business owner around here. I'll give you my phone and take it home tonight. You can call the owner of Chick-fil-A. You can call the head people of Chipotle. You can call Mike Milano. You can call the plumbing surgeon next door. You can call, I can tell you, 50 years of hard work. That's all. I tell you, the one thing to sell in life is business. Is honesty and hard work.
Yep.
2 things that'll never go out of style. Leather shoes, cocaine, blonde women, they all go out of style. But I guarantee you this, in this world, there are 2 things. Bad people, good people, rich people, poor people, drug dealers. It doesn't care who the spectrum is when they're hiring someone. There is nobody on this earth that doesn't appreciate honesty and hard work.
Right.
I mean, no one wants to go to a mechanic who's lazy and a thief.
Yeah, you want to be
Told
the truth.
So thank you again. This took a lot longer. Jason, I'll pay you double what I offered you. I'm gonna get these videos to my attorney into yours. I think we're over the tree, the dog, and the stuff, but we're not over is trying to kill me, killing my wife, punching my wife in the face, the extreme amount of narcotics. I can't tell you in the last 30 days. This is the honest God's truth. I'm gonna bring it trial. Do you know that my address has more calls to service in the city of Glendale over the last 20 years than any other address in the city?
Really?
At Walmart, the strip clubs,
Really?
I have more calls to service than any other residence in the city of Glendale over the last 20 years.
Wow.
In the last 30 days, I found 6 overdoses. Jason came out and helped me the other night. The police came out and helped the other day. And guess who got in trouble every fucking time? If you find an overdose, don't call. Sir, is there any paraphernalia in the car? I'm not sure. I've never done crystal meth. Mounds of cocaine, but never crystal meth. I go, I don't know. Are they okay? Well, I don't want to touch them. Do you know the make, model, and year of the car? I go, I'm a fucking car enthusiast, but I go, I got to tell you, in today's world, make, model, and year of those cars. Dude. The day you graduated high school, you know what a 72 L was?
Yeah, well, I know what make they are. I don't know what damn year they are.
But when we were kids in school,
Oh, yeah, you know what a 72 Chevelle is.
I can't tell anything anymore. Half the cars are all bad. They're made by the same manufacturer with different. A Honda is a Lexus. A Toyota is a. Well, thanks, Steve. Thanks for hearing me out. I'm going to transmit all this to my attorney. These guys are going to provide me that. I'm going to have someone type a transcript. I'm not even sure what. Do you know that during the lawsuit, you guys told that their offer to me was they're going to pay me $25,000 for each of my units because of their indiscretions, and me and my family have to move out and sign a contract that we will never come back forever or have to repay the money and forfeit.
That sounds like a great deal, right?
Telling black people they have to move out of their neighborhood forever. Telling the guy that turned in all the drug dealers he has to move. Trying to kill me. I mean, come on, guys. This is all audio videotape. There's plenty of witnesses. I can assure you, nobody came outside. You know why? They're all scared. You and I grew up in the same neighborhood. When I built these fences 30 years ago, I used to walk there and go, we're talking to Dave Simmons, the only known survivor of the nuclear holocaust. Dave, can you tell me what happened? This was 1992, and I'd be like, I'm not an idiot, Steve. When I bought into this place, I walked through here with a real. What's your name? Fine, Redden. You're the manager. Let me tell you my impression. This place is spot fucking on. I told it to her. She kept playing for it. When I walked through here with my son was 3 months old. The manager, home of the nurse over there. There's a nurse and security right by those doors. It's under the garden. I figured 25 yards. My wife can pick the baby up and run in the door. There's the security, nurses. I mean, this place was safe, secure, maintained, a quality investment. But I got to tell you guys what. Let the lights go down here at night. That's when the fucking cockroaches come out. And if anybody thinks that there's not a crystal meth or a fentanyl problem in America, you better go home and do your prayers before one of your family members ends up on that shit. I personally have never done either of those drugs in my life. Never even touched them or looked at them.
My kids got on it.
Well,
I'm like you, marijuana and weed. Coke.
I'm the guy in high school. Your mom and what? Did I get the hug? No, hey, did I get the hug? Dude, tell me this. Where's it at? But no, if you don't think organized crime, in say you graduated high school in 1980, you'd have gone down about a High Times magazine. There would be pictures of round hash balls, hash fingers, Nellophanese, hash. Not the shit they're selling to your generation, because the hash he's talking about is it's cooked with rubbing alcohol in a vat, and it can explode. It's an ancient old process. But the hash he's talking about, you could take a little piece and put it on a pin on a table with a matchbook and a glass over it and get everybody in the room high. In all of my years of smoking weed, Mexico has never brought up 1 gram of hash. Why? Because the CIA and DARPA and all the bullshit agreements between the Moretta and shit, because everybody knows that hash is 10 times better than marijuana. It's not the shit they sell today, this ISO hash, the cheese hash, the bubblegum hash.
Nothing's like it was.
We're talking Nellophanese hash fingers and balls like this is the finest fucking
Coke, pure pink, looks like a baseball.
My boss was arrested, grand jury indicted as a kingpin of the largest cocaine ring in 5 states. And Steve, when I got to his house that morning, I walked right up to him and I the newspaper. Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and Hawaii. You know, sitting there looking, because you know those guys, when you're in the house looking at that pink shit, you're hoping no one's a narc. They just sniff you out. You know what I mean? And I walk into my friend's house and I'm like, James, Hawaii? No one ever offered me to go to Hawaii.
Right.
Well, you can understand as a major narcotics trafficker, it would probably behoove him not to tell me. You know what I mean? I was totally compartmentalized and told just what he wanted me to know. His father was chief of staff that day at Scottsdale.
What the hell you been running this thing?
Casa Grande.
He's moving to Kansas. He's had enough of all this shit. He's going to Kansas.
Going to Kansas.
He bought a house cash for $17,000 on his credit card.
Right.
Don't pay the credit card, get the house for free, no payment.
Nice.
Huh?
Nice.
They take that $400,000 home and all those big payments and cash again and going fishing.
Nice.
One of my cousins here.
Gonna retire.
He's a little smarter, stronger, and
Retire at your age?
Yeah. Time to retire.
believe it or not, he's still my cousin. Smarter, stronger, better looking, and licensed contractor. I'm just still the high dog in this everything. Steve, thank you. It's hot. God bless you and your
Nice to
family.
meet you, Steve.
Take
Have a good
care.
day.
You too.
I'm telling you, dude, you're one cool dude.
We try to keep it peace. I'm telling you.
I've never said anything about a man behind his back that I wouldn't say to his face. And I promise you that.